guys, Ron here, and as is tradition, it's time to round up the plethora of Pokemon memes from the previous year. And considering 2022 saw the release of 2 mainline Pokemon games, we have a decent batch to cover. In this series, I strive to explain the origin and use of various meme formats that were created from within the Pokemon community. So I'm not going to explain every individual Pokemon meme, but rather specific types, subsets, and subjects of memes that became popular among Pokemon fans during the end of Generation 8 and the beginning of Generation 9. New generations are monumental meme makers. It's a natural law. So sit back and relax and make sure you've seen the previous videos if you haven't once you're done with this retrospective. I may miss a few memes, but this is a series, so we can cover them in the next episode or something. But only if you clearly like this episode, so leave a like and subscribe if you want to see part 9, and let me know which 2022 meme was your favorite. Let's begin at the very beginning of 2022. Y'all may have forgotten, but one of the first Pokemon meme formats of 2022 was from Bidoof's Big Stand, the 3D animated Bidoof short we all fell in love with at the time. The scene where the trainer's Lucario defends Bidoof from a wild Staraptor gave us this popular image where Staraptor effortlessly dodges what could be assumed to be Lucario's Focus Blast, considering how easily it missed, only to notice how powerful the impact would have been. The 2-panel image is now occasionally used to demonstrate instances where people narrowly miss impactful details only to immediately notice how big they truly are. But once Legends Arceus came out a few weeks later, there were many webcomics and memes to be made, but only a few major subjects of memedom to explain here today. For example, as you begin your quest, Obsidian Fieldlands is where you learn how aggressive Paris truly are. This little creature, which we all assumed was as meek as the one from the anime, turned out to be the most imposing Pokemon in the game, at least relative to its size. It just doesn't leave us alone. Kinda puts into perspective how aggressive the victims of parasitic fungi can be. But obviously Pokemon and Hisui are more aggressive than modern Pokemon. Tons of memes were made even before the games were released, so we're not covering them here, but what you see in front of you right now is an example of an age-old meme which we never covered that became even more popular by the end of Generation 8, which was the "Why Not Use X" meme. This offshoot of the various environment memes that were popular a few years back became even funnier when applied to the Pokemon world. You quickly notice how ridiculous the variety within each Pokemon type is, or the disparity between Pokemon within the same type. My personal favorite is "Why Not Use the Dark type?" We have Death, Demon Djinn, Nightmare, World Destroyer, Sandile, 108 Spirits, popularized by Sandile propaganda. But back to the game. Side-Eye Psyduck became a staple around this time, as it perfectly mimicked the awkward look monkey puppet meme, which you would basically use in any awkward situation where a side-eye would be appropriate. This hyper-aware Psyduck is even more hilarious considering Psyduck is usually oblivious, so when he can actually sense the awkwardness, you know something really cringy has been said or done. Speaking of which, the Nimbasa trio, Emmett, Ingo, and Elisa, have been a popular group since Gen 5. The Subway Masters have always been the center of attention on Japanese websites like Pixiv, and eventually commonly associated with hashtags on Tumblr and now Twitter. They have a large fan base unbeknownst to a majority of casual fans, but the Nimbasa trio as a whole became even more relevant and mainstream among Pokemon fans following Ingo's cameo in Legends Arceus. Art and comics of Emmett grieving his lost brother, and even better, memes of the trio reuniting, can be found everywhere, especially with the help of Pokemon Masters lore editions. Artists can't help but imagine this trio in goofy situations around Unova, usually emulating various New York City subway memes and tropes. But Legends Arceus came and went, and upon the reveal of Generation 9 in February 2022, we immediately got starter memes. Obviously the starters became stars, with Fuecoco's empty-headedness and Quackley's duckness, but it was Sprigatito that received its own dedicated meme, Weed Cat. It simply derives from the fact that Sprigatito has glazed eyes, a green tint, and a facial pattern similar to the devil's lettuce. So everybody lovingly referred to Sprigatito as such, and exclusively depicted this cat as a stoner, culminating with Ashley Lube's interpretation, which further amplified people's perception of Sprigatito. Can't lie, she's a pretty cool cat. After the expected lull in news, Koraidon and Miraidon were revealed, and other than the usual reception to their designs, people generally thought they were super cool and didn't really associate them with any memes, other than the fact that they were bikes, which isn't really a meme considering they literally are vehicles. It wasn't until the games fully released that the kinds of memes associated with these two were mostly about their love of sandwiches. However, the first regular Pokemon revealed became instant memes. Lechonk's name turned into a religion. I can't say it was long-lived, but it was very powerful. You basically take the name Lechonk and use it how you see fit. I want to say Smoliv had a small impact, but this anxious olive received a giant welcoming, perhaps one that was too overwhelming for Smoliv. The amount of anxiety you can fit into this small fruit could power a month's worth of memes. Soon after, once Team Star was revealed, Mella's boots became the star of the show, with this meme fully realized once the game actually came out and her animation was examined, fully showcasing how impractical her boots are. They're just for show. In classic Team Star fashion, the captains are less intimidating than they led on to be. A bit later, Wiglet was revealed to the public, along with the entire concept of regional fakes. Not only was his length an entire meme, harkening back to the idea of forms with longer proportions, as introduced by Alolan Executor, but this ain't 2016 anymore. Now Among Us has to be thrown into the mix too. Immediately after, Iono debuted. This self-proclaimed streamer and influencer was an obvious parody of online personalities and was mocked and idolized for her spot-on VTuber persona and YouTube practices. Not only was she already clickbaiting from the start of her career, but fans couldn't help but imagine her in all sorts of YouTube situations, like collabs with other Pokemon celebrities, posting reaction videos, and ultimately dealing with being cancelled and making an apology video. It definitely hit home. Game Freak engineered this gym leader as a living meme, and it worked. I mean, they got us, guys. It wasn't until the games were finally released that we fully realized how much that sentiment was true. Despite being unpolished and filled with tons of glitches, Scarlet and Violet became the fastest-selling console-exclusive game in history, and Nintendo's biggest launch of all time. So we celebrated and coped with some memes of these games glitching out. Of course, the general footage spread like hotcakes, but the face of this meme definitely had to be the player's model losing all sense of proportion. But an example of a glitch that received its own sub-meme was biblically accurate Pokemon. Of course, the concept of biblically accurate angels has been a thing since, well, the Bible, but the popularity of these otherworldly beings rose over the last few years. People were already creating Pokemon inspired by God's messengers for years, including me, but it wasn't until a glitch in SV actually caused Pokemon to look like biblically accurate angels that people began to record these strange occurrences and even create art of it, like my friend The Last Shaman, who popularized the current trend with her biblically accurate Pokemon pieces. But once people got over the initial performance issues, they began memeing the aspects they genuinely enjoyed. Nemona's obsession with battle reminds fans of Goku. Many memes replacing the Super Saiyan with Champion Nemona in very effectively funny ways spread. A contender for Meme of the Year. Just like Tinkaton. Not only is this gremlin a complete goof and gaff, but also possibly the most popular Pokemon of the generation. The contrast between this small happy fellow and her giant deadly hammer is hilarious on its own, but upon learning that Tinkaton's favorite pastime is pelting rocks at Corviknight, the internet went wild. The fanbase's approval of Tinkaton just being herself and doing crimes will surely make Tinkaton a meme for the entire generation's runtime. I'm sure of it. But this was far from the only Pokemon with entertaining antics. People couldn't get enough of Tandemaus, whether it be their scream, their orientation, the method of evolution, or Mousehold's name and concept. Fans turned this family of mice into a household name. Or should I say, Mousehold name. I can't help myself, sorry. Their names are just so amusing. The mystery of Mousehold is too. How'd these baby mice get here? Where do they come from? Where do they go? Where do they come from, Golden Go? The 1000th Pokemon was the target of a smear campaign aimed to insinuate this golden ghoul looked exactly like Albani's string cheese mascot, or even Applejack's Cinnamon. I guess fans let out their disappointment by turning him into a meme, but that eventually endeared him to his haters, reversing his infamy. Now you may be wondering where these two perfect specimens have been throughout the video. They were revealed many months before the games were released, and as you know, they were already memed from the day we laid eyes on these hot professors. Whether it be their theorized obsession with the past or future, or their supposed differences in personality and composure, we could tell from the beginning how neurotic and quirky these two would be. But it wasn't until we fully played through Scarlet and Violet's plot that we were fully privy to the extent of Turo and Sada's insanity. Perhaps with the community's sympathy towards Arven, fans began to create various memes to cope, depicting them as terrible parents. They compared Arven to Shinji from Neon Genesis Evangelion, and even made plethora of instruction images inspired by the bad parents meme. These are definitely my favorite. It is in Area Zero where we learn the extent of Arven's story, but it is also where fans discovered one of their favorite budding friend groups. There are tons of memes related to the dysfunctional troupe of Nemona, Arven, and Penny. They cannot be more different from each other, and these memes highlight how much their nature conflicts. Nemona is psychotic, Arven is depressed, and Penny doesn't even want to be there. It's wonderful. But once you manage to get through the main plot and decide to release the Treasures of Ruin, you'll be greeted with some of the most unintentionally entertaining legendary Pokemon. This ruinous quartet is fairly popular among fans, but the most inconspicuous of the four, Wo-Chien, is actually the one that acquired a widely used meme. Live Wo-Chien reaction. This meme is an adaptation of the live slug reaction. Right after Rise of Skywalker featured the first gay kiss in the Star Wars franchise, fans jokingly described how the film followed this kiss with a shot of Claude, seemingly disapproving. It's a prime reaction image used as a reply to anything out of pocket or homoerotic. Live reactions have become such a big part of our culture that it's hilarious to think it's devolved into needing to see the reaction of a mere slug. This all culminates in the live Wo-Chien reaction meme, used in the exact same way. Whenever anything weird happens happens in the Pokemon community. It's perfect considering my man Wo Chen already has such disapproving eyes, but I'm sure Wo Chen approves of this video. And I hope you did too. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and make sure to check the previous meme videos if you haven't. Take a look at the description as well for the music I used, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and my Patreon where you can get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early and my Patreon Discord. You can also press the join button for the same rewards. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys very soon.